Welcome, dear students, to this class on epic theatre. Epic theatre was focused on making social and political changes based on reason as opposed to emotion. The conventional theatre of the time, called naturalistic theatre or realistic drama, was geared towards the elite and the bourgeoisie and looked to create an illusion of reality to imitate real life. The characters tend to, the audience tend to relate with the characters, identify with them, and get lost in the story. For revolutionary thinkers like Bertolt Brecht and Antonin Artaud, this form of theatre kept the audience passive and unthinking. Both men wanted theatre for the masses, something that would change the way the audience experienced the theatre. Instead of identifying with the story or the plot. But while Arthur believed that man's issues stem from the subconscious, Brecht saw the problems with the society. As we have already discussed, Arthur's theatre, it's the theatre of cruelty, it's something different. So in this class, we will discuss epic theatre. In the late 1920s, this German playwright Bertolt Brecht, inspired by his political pledge to Marxism, wanted to create an ideal theatre that would spark the audience to seek political and social change. Epic theatre had actually existed long before, in maybe certain elements were there before. And coming to the characteristics of epic theatre, this playwright Brecht envisioned his theatre to be some sort of a jazz club, instead of a traditional conventional theatre. The audience would drink and smoke and get soaked in the message that was sent from the stage, inspiring them to change the world. To achieve this sort of impact, Brecht used a few techniques. And one such technique is alienation effect or V effect. It is some sort of distancing or making things strange. To encourage the audience's rational thought, this method of alienation was used to distance the audience from the events that were happening on stage so they could think about them critically and understand that they were only viewing one version of the events. In other words, Brecht did not want to encourage escapism or to put his audience in a sort of trance. The audience won't get lost in the story. In between, they are made aware that they are watching a play and also about the message. He believed that if they began to uh, get emotional towards the characters on the stage, they would become passive to the message. He wanted their brains to be ready to think about why they need to promote political and social change. So he did his best to prevent the audience's emotional involvement with the play. And for that, he kept many of the staging elements visible, lighting was left uncovered, the musicians were visible on the stage, and half curtains were used so that the audience can see the scene changes. The actors would play multiple characters, some sort of meta play, you can say. The audience was directly addressed, which meant that sometimes the stage directions were spoken aloud. To further encourage the audience to reflect the events for the following scene would be projected onto the stage so that the audience would anticipate the story and reflect as they watched. Another feature is the use of gestures or gestures, a style of acting that used gestures, facial expressions, and tone of voice to make a political point. It adds to this alienation effect. This justice defined the actor's conduct on the stage and therefore defined each individual scene. He also used episodic structure, and scenes were fairly short and could usually stand alone outside of the overall story. And this helped the audience digest each scene on its own. Even so, the main character is developed throughout and is in the final scene that the audience can fully understand how society has impacted the character and the change that has occurred. Political themes are another characteristic feature of epic theatre. While strong right wing themes were supporting fascist ideas like money and social hierarchy, Brecht's epic theatre focused on the opposite, the left wing of the communists and the Marxists. And a few examples of this epic theatre, epic plays by Brecht are Mother Courage and Her Children, Baal, and so on.